All right, it's Friday, and we are inaugurating the Building Out show, which I don't think my usual intro works. Welcome to Building Out. I'm building out. I'm glad you're building out. I don't know, the part where I appreciate every last one of you, that still works. Do the little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. More importantly, this is where we talk about design and construction of games. This is where we talk about code. This is where we talk about the actual programming and the actual, like, the guts of actually building and developing the game. And what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be pulling up. Let me grab Godot here. You can see here that well, if I jump into the Explorer, and I come over to where I keep all of my shit. You can see that when I sort by date modified, the last time I actually modified a C# file in this project was on June 6th. So that's not quite 6 months. That's it's a little over 5. And what I have said over and over again, and will continue to say until the end of my days on this earth, is that when you are writing code, you are writing that code to be read and understood by somebody else. And somebody else includes you in 6 months. And everything you've written that you haven't looked at in 6 months is subject to something that we call bit rot. Okay? And bit rot is the idea that when you don't touch software for a long time, it stops working. It doesn't build correctly. It doesn't work correctly. And let me jump into the playfield script, and we'll kind of walk through this. I know this one works. And and here we've got an error. We've got a couple other errors. We got some red text here. Let me take a look. Warning, unresolved dependencies. Warning, unresolved dependencies. Error, Roslyn restore. Restore completed with errors. Falling back to directly creating the virtual project. Okay. Pipe name, received name pipe information from server. Okay. Errors exist in the composition. Microsoft Visual Studio composition failed exception. From Roslyn completion C# reference symbol definition snippet provider. The fuck is that? Oh, that's from the Copilot. Oh, that's from the Copilot namespace. Well, it's in the Copilot namespace. I don't use Copilot. I don't fucking care. Why is that even in my shit? I'll tell you why it's in my shit. Because too many people are investing too much. But you know what? I already ranted about AI. I ranted about AI on Monday. Okay? So let's just take as read that this is more bullshit that you don't fucking need. And they're trying to shove it down your throat. Don't use it. Don't use it. It's garbage. It fucking sucks. Instead of creating a tool that actually solves an actual problem that actual people actually fucking have, they're like, hey, what if we made a tool that would, like, replace other human beings? That's a terrible idea. Don't fucking do that. Don't try to make tools to replace people. That's absolute horseshit. This kind of lunatic crap happens all the goddamn time, and I'm fucking sick of it. This industry is going down the goddamn toilet because nobody knows what the fuck they're doing, and I really need to stop ranting about this. Okay, so if we come over here to problems, oh look, no problems. My code has no problems. Microsoft's code has no problems. Oh, gee, is it related to that announcement they made a while back that 30% of their new code is now generated by AI? Is the AI stupid? Does the AI suck at its fucking job? They're certainly shipping lower quality software. That's for goddamn sure. Regardless. Now, what we've got in the playfield, I haven't changed this in forever, but when you come in here, what you look at is you find these protected sprite members. And these sprites are actually, these are the 4 tiles of the playing field. And then we've got the player. We need to have the player. We have a scene that contains the groper that is the enemy that you confront. And there's a scene that contains the weapon. And both of those are currently set to null. And we have a screen timer that is currently exported as a null. And then we have whether the game is over, whether the time has expired, the spawn frequency, which I have at every 3 seconds, and the spawn acceleration, which is 0.02 seconds, which is how much every time an enemy spawns, we spawn the next enemy a little bit faster. Now, this stuff right in here, this needs to be hoisted upward. Because I'm looking at this and I'm going, this doesn't belong in the level. This is, the playfield is really kind of, it's the physical space that you're in. And all of this stuff, is really about the game and not the level. I think we also need to hoist the game over thing. The level doesn't know or care whether the game is over. The game cares whether the game's over. The game cares whether the time has expired. The game cares what the spawn frequency is, what the spawn acceleration is, what the spawn timer is. Those shouldn't be globals anyway. Those should actually be part of, they should be part of a separate script that I've got in here, which is called the item factory. The item factory currently doesn't have anything in it. That's interesting. I was going to open this up and say this is a partial implementation, but it's extremely partial in the sense that there's nothing in it. So, yeah. So the thing about the item factory is the item factory would do the work of creating the enemies, okay? So because it does the work of creating the enemies, I would create that, and it would have the spawn frequency, the spawn acceleration, the spawn timer, and it would also have a lifetime. So the item factory would be created in the world, and I would say something like, I'd create this particular configuration of item factory right here. And then the item factory would be created there, and it would spawn a wave of enemies that come in from off screen, or it would start spawning enemies that come from specific locations. But the item factory would have a notion of how long it lives, how many enemies it's going to spawn, how frequently they're going to spawn, and so on and so forth. It would do the spawn count and all of that. And the item factory would know that. The level would not. It wouldn't care. The level would just have, the level would come with a list of item factories, and the item factories would be individually tweaked to provide the experience that I wanted. You'll see this kind of pattern over and over again. Now, as we go down, the minutes and seconds, well, that's the game. That doesn't even happen in the item factory. That happens in the main game shell. I think I have a shell field in here. Shell.cs. Yeah, I got some stuff that I'm doing. I've got that's a control. Okay, so yeah, okay. I've got some notes in this as to how the shell is going to work. And I think I was actually planning on the shell being slightly different, because this doesn't look like what I was thinking about just now. Regardless, but anyway, as we go through the playfield right here, we can see that we're grabbing nodes. I don't like this. Get node sprite 2D ground 1. I do not like that one bit. These direct references to node containers, well, this is okay in this particular instance because I'm assigning this script. This script gets assigned to a scene, and basically what I'm doing is I'm putting a requirement on the scene that this scene must have these 4 nodes in it. And if it doesn't have them, then that's a problem. It doesn't really matter what they are, because when we come down here, see, here's another thing. We've got to hoist into a higher level object the obtaining of the player object and all of the other bits and pieces there. So we expect the first... Yeah, there's a shortcut I've taken in here, which is that ground 1 has to have a sprite assigned to it. And it will copy that sprite into ground 2, ground 3, and ground 4. And then it will move them around as you process things. And this is, once again, this is stuff that shouldn't be in the label. And then the main thing this needs to do is update the tiles. All of the processing that's going on in here, if not game over, check whether the game is over. I need to put a pause screen in here. Because that's constantly biting me when I'm trying to test stuff, is I don't have a pause screen. So we'll add a pause screen, and that's fairly simple. All we have to do is process input. And when we process the input, what we're going to do is we're going to check whether the pause key was pressed, and if the pause key was pressed, if the pause key was just pressed, pause equals not pause, and pause will be a Boolean, and then we'll check if not pause and not game over. Actually, that should go in here. Over, and we'll come all the way down here to the end. All the way down, and that's where the final bracket goes. Okay. I don't want to write too much code on this, but I'm getting stuck in this. If not game over, then we're going to check whether we should pause, and if not pause, so you need a Boolean for a pause. Private bool game paused equals false. And we'll come down here and we'll go if not game paused. If not game paused, this equals not pause, and we need to hide pause label. Show or hide the pause label. That's fairly simple. I'm getting kind of bound up in this. there's a lot of stuff in here that is in the wrong sort of area. So you got the spawn enemy. Spawn enemy, this should be in the item factory. The item factory should be doing this. The item factory should know what enemies it has, and it should do that itself. So I still need to figure out how I'm going to architect that and how I'm going to architect the configurations and whether I'm going to do resource files for it. I don't entirely understand resources in Godot. That's the problem with all of this stuff is I don't know how specific things work in Godot. But there are like magic names. It's like a resource is one thing in Godot and an entirely different thing elsewhere. So I had to figure that shit out. But one of the big things that I kind of wanted to talk about, I know there are some issues with the player script. Yeah, collecting experience should be hoisted into a higher object, I think. Collecting gold, I think, should be hoisted into a higher object. But as you go through the player, what you find here is you have this notion here. This is one of the things that upsets me. This is some technical debt I've put together. Death facing. Death facing exists because I found that when your character died, you could still make your character face different directions by moving the joystick. So I wanted to lock the direction the character was facing. And that got messy. So we come down here and we go, if the death facing is less than 0, okay, like I said, this shitty code is full of magic numbers and sucks. If the player is dying and the death facing is less than 0, then the player animation is we add the facing count times 3. Now, what we are doing here is we are using this relies on knowing animation orders. You see here, it says player animation plus equals facing count times 3. Now, if we go up here, what we find is that for any given group of animations, okay, we have a number of them that are equal to the facing count because there are 4 different directions you can face. We've got the right, down, left, and up animations, okay? So because we have 4 animations, if we're currently sitting on idle, okay, which is where we sit by default when we go into the animation selector, then we need to know there's 1, 2, 3 sets of additional animations. And that's how we know to go up to the death animations. That's how we know where the death animations are. That's bad code. That's not the way that you should do this. So that relies on knowing the animation order, and we do the same thing down here, okay? And what we do here is moving it all as a walk animation, starting from idle, okay? If we add the facing count, then we're on the walk animations. And if we add the facing count again, then we're on the run animations. And if we add the facing count again, then we're on the death animations. But you have to know that you have to know that to set the animation correctly. And knowing that kind of internal information isn't good. It's full of magic numbers. The facing count is the number of animations between different states, and so on and so forth. And then we set the player animation to the appropriate death facing, and we use death facing as not equal to -1, which is where we set it to begin with. We start off setting death facing to -1, and because it's less than 0, the player character is not dying. But if the player is dying, then we have to set the death facing to whatever it is, and that is a fairly bad way to do this. And then I think we've got some other bullshit that goes on there. We don't actually move the character unless the death facing is less than 0. And I think really that really needs to be if not player dying. There's a lot of sloppiness in here. And my point here is that after just a few months, you got to look at this and go, what the hell was I thinking? That's not right. Why did I do it that way? I didn't remember that the item factory was empty. I didn't remember the stuff that I added into the playfield. And I'm not happy with the way this is organized. But the important thing that I'm trying to get across here is that you do dumb shit to make stuff work. And once you get it to work, it's very, very important that you go into it and you fix this stuff, which I'm not going to do live on stream here. But I am going to go in and fix this stuff over the course of the next week. So next week, I will have a bunch of this shit fixed and refactored and reorganized. I haven't gone over as much stuff as I wanted to go over because it's taken too long. It's like we're 20 minutes in, and I don't think going over more of the stuff. Well, I should come into the Groper and look at that. This has got the exact same problems with the way that it's arranged and organized. There's just a lot less. There's just a lot less stuff going on, and this is the same thing. You know, it's doing the same basic thing that we do in the player script, and it has the same problems that need to be fixed. The collectible. You know, there's one thing in particular that I kind of saw scrolling through here. I saw in clear inventory, here in player, clear inventory. Clear inventory doesn't actually clear the inventory. It deletes the inventory, like the whole thing. And that's not what you want to do. You don't want to clear your inventory by removing the ability to have an inventory at all. That's really not okay. I wonder if there's a simple and quick way to I wonder if there is a quick way to remove all children from a node. I should check on that. It seems like that should be something that's in there. Learning my way around the Godot engine is an ongoing process, and it takes me longer than it takes other people because I frequently... This is a thing about being old, okay? And the thing is that when you've come up in an environment where you didn't have the specialized tool to do the thing you want to do, You learned how to do it without that tool. So you get into the habit of not even looking for that tool, not even trying to find that tool. You see a problem and you go, well, I can use the thoroughly inadequate tools I started with when I first began programming to fix this. And that's frequently not the best thing to do. But it is very much what I'm prone to do because I'm old and I've been doing this a long time, and it's second nature for me to go, oh, here's the problem. I know how to put basic pieces together to fix this. And meanwhile, there's a solve my problem function in the engine that that is much faster and more elegant and works in more situations. And I don't know it's there, so I don't use it. And I don't look for it because I don't need to. I could solve the problem manually. I just don't do as good a job. And that's a problem that crops up more and more frequently as you have more experience, as you are doing things longer and longer. And there's a sweet spot where you've been doing things long enough that you know how to solve your problem, but you haven't been doing them so long that looking for another solution is not in your vocabulary anymore. That kind of evolution as you go through things. You start out, you look everything up, okay? And then toward the end, you just do everything from first principles. And there's this spot in the middle where you hit this good balance. You need to try and seek that balance. And from the beginning, when you start out and you're trying to look stuff up, you try to find a tutorial for every last thing that you do. You need to be trying to build things from first principles. You need to be trying to do things from scratch and do things by yourself. But as you get more and more confident in your ability to do that, you're going to stop trying to look things up. You need to look things up because a lot of the time there's something you can look up that works much, much better than starting from first principles. Anyway, that's pretty much where things sit right now. I got a bunch of code to fix, and again, do the little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. I don't feel like this was a very good video, but I hope they'll be better in the future. I'm trying. I really am. I'm trying to make these videos better because they need to get better. I mean, they're fucking garbage. They have been for years. So I'm trying to make this year the year that the videos are actually not complete fucking bullshit. So yeah, I'm working on that. And anyway, okay, bye.